Speaker appointed the conferees House Bill 891, Representatives Fannin, Cortez, and Lambert. House Bill 1108, Representatives Barrow, Morrell, and Green. We're in receipt of a conference committee report, Mr. Speaker, on Senate Bill 312 by Senator Mount, relative to the water fluoridation program, provide funding, provide reporting. That conference report is signed by 5 of the 6 conferees.
All right, Representative Katz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, coming back in the conference committee report on the fluoridation that most of you voted for, the conference committee rejected some of the amendments that were put on and accepted some of them. Understand that all 15 of the House Health and Welfare Committee amendments stayed on. But the main thing I want to tell you about this, I'm going to repeat again about the fluoridation. And many of you already have it. But let me remind you that this particular bill simply amends a bill that we already have. We have a bill, a Louisiana law right now, which encourages fluoridation in the water.
Representative Lambert in the chair.
But despite that, we have so many people that have not addressed it. So this bill asks for the water systems that have over 5,000 hookups to at least look at fluoridation. Remember, this bill is permissive in that there is no money for it. What we're trying to do is to find out how much fluoride we have in the water that exists naturally, and if they need to add it to their systems. We adopted 2 of Representative Nowlin's floor amendments because he was really trying to tighten up the bill. We also have in the conference report another one of our reps, Representative Burford, wanted to clarify which residents were covered under fluoride. And so we're going to make sure that it's only the people that are on that system that are there. Added into this bill is that we changed it where you can have a referendum, but 15% of the people can opt out of having fluoride if they so choose with a vote. Some of this, we would like to see some of this tightened up, but I want to tell you, those of you that got all those emails, please remember that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention says it's one of the 10 great public health achievements. And what we're really concerned with, we have approximately 39,000 Medicaid-eligible preschoolers who could potentially benefit from these things. The main thing is, it cannot be done. There is no money here. So we're really just taking a second step further to find out if the potential is there. So I ask you to adopt the conference report. We changed municipality to jurisdiction, which would cover those that Representative Burford called our attention in committee.
Question on the bill, Representative Sam Jones.
Yes.
Representative Katz.
Yes, Representative.
I was disappointed to find out. Or let me just ask you, did your conference committee remove the opt-out provision for local governments?
Oh, no, the opt-out is still here. We did remove some things that would certainly have tightened it up, and we will be looking at that, I'm sure, because remember, this is not funded. And so if it's not funded, we're just going to be looking at it. What we're asking the communities to do, over 5,000, is to at least let us know about the fluoride content and if it's not there. And we would like to know what the cost might be for them to put it in. Part of that is just kind of an information thing that would go out. But no, they may still opt out.
Did not Representative Nowlin have an amendment that allowed a local government to opt out with a vote of the governing body instead of having to come up with the cost of having a referendum?
Yes, he did. He certainly did. And in that particular instance, he had a number of amendments that were good, but the conference committee decided not to put those in. We understand that none of this can be done because there's no money to do it. And remember this, until the money is funded, which is certainly not funded now, we will have an opportunity to look at this and fine-tune it. But we still very much want this to encourage the communities that want to look at this to do so.
Why do we want to put yet another mandate on local governments without money? Why do we want to put another mandate?
Well, I think possibly because in this instance the health, certainly the Louisiana Dental Association, the American Medical Society, all of the health institutions are encouraging us to look at this. And this particular legislation simply further encourages communities and on the water systems to look at it.
Representative Katz, do you know that fluoride is one of the most toxic and poisonous chemicals that could be put in water, and if by any happenstance it's put in an amount too large, how much damage it can do to the human body, besides how many people it could actually kill?
I'm sure that your facts are correct on that, but you understand that New Orleans, Shreveport, we have many communities throughout our country that are doing this to try to protect the dental. Do you realize for every dollar that we spend perhaps on fluoride, we will save $39 in dental care for our young people? And hopefully, I know you know this, our children that have, I'm not a dental technician, but our children that have dental problems and everything, that is just a major source of a problem in our communities now, and we're trying to at least look forward to correct that.
Well, my last question, did you know that it just bothers a whole lot of people in my district as well as myself to be forced to ingest a chemical that we don't ask for and would rather have a doctor prescribe it than for us to do it because it's in the public water system?
Listen, and I understand your concerns, and I think we will certainly have to be very careful, just like we're careful with the chlorine and things that go in the water. Thank you, and appreciate your concern on that.
Question on the bill, Representative Nowlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Katz, so you and I had the opportunity to speak earlier today, and did you know I'm not here to debate fluoridation with you? Just for a point of clarification, if you would please, I think the previous question was about the local governing authority's ability to opt out. The local electorate has the ability to opt out by referendum, but the the conference committee removed, did they not, the provision that allowed the local governing authority, after calling a public hearing, to opt out if they so choose. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and thank you for explaining that.
Question, Representative Abramson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Katz, I know there's been a lot of discussion about taking out the local governing authority's ability to override this provision, but the people still have the power to override this. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. Yes, thank you. Thank you. The people should have the last word.
Question on Representative Billiard.
Yes, Representative Katz, isn't it also true that after the government agency estimates the cost of what it would cost to do this, then they submit that over to the state, and if money ever becomes available, then it's mandated that you do it, but not until such a time as the funding becomes available?
That is so true. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Question, Representative Downs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Katz, didn't Representative Fanning yesterday in HB1 say that health care investment spending in the state would be up $700 million this next year?
I think that's the figure he gave.
Didn't Secretary Levine testify the other day that the Medicaid cost of dental costs in Louisiana was absolutely out of control and nothing could do a better job to help it than fluoridation?
Yes, he did. The Secretary issued a statement on that, saying that this would help our people.
And some of that $700 million is bound to be that Medicaid dental cost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Durkee for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Katz, it looks to me like the locals have to call an election, right?
To opt out.
To opt
yes.
out.
They have to.
Who pays for the election?
Well,
locals?
No. It will be placed whenever there's an election up.
In other words, there won't be an election till there's funding available?
There won't be, there'd be no reason to try to opt out until they decide to do it. If someone decided to do it, then you would do a referendum to say, no, we don't want it, and then the vote would be held.
So this is kind of like, in other words, kind of like a study. We're looking at the situation?
Well, I really think that we will probably address this in the future some more, but this is just what I consider a second step. We already have the law that says, cities, municipalities, please look at this.
Yes.
And don't listen to the things that are erroneous. That we're hearing that the things that we worried about years ago, but to follow up on Representative Jones, we're going to have to make sure, of course, anytime we do something like this, it has to be correct.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Question on the bill, Representative Norton.
Representative Katz. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would you just explain the opt out? I'm under the impression that any area that has 5,000 or more does not have to agree to this. It's up to them if they choose to agree to it. Would you explain that to us? Did you know?
If it works out where the money is appropriated, that's number one. And of course, you already have fluoride, do you not, in your area? Shreveport has it.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure you're seeing some benefits from it in your area.
Absolutely.
But a number of our areas don't have it. This is the way it's set up now. But what they are going to be required to do is to look at their fluoride content. And they may have it naturally in their water. And they don't have to do anything. But if they want to, if a community or a water system over 5,000 people hooked on wants to do this, then they can look at it and their governing body can say, all right, we want to do the fluoride. At that time, they'll have public hearings and meetings like any governing body does. They'd have to, I'm sure, because it would be on their agendas and so forth. Then the community can opt out. And our committee changed it to 15% of those in that area, voting in that area where the water is delivered, they can turn in a petition and say, we want to vote on this. Okay. And then majority will rule. But this legislation is not funded.
Okay. I just heard one of my colleagues, and I don't remember which one of them, made reference to if there's too much fluorine put in the water, it can kill someone. What's the truth to that?
Well, I'm sure if we don't, when we doctor our water so that it's drinkable or anything, we've got to be very careful. Our water systems have to be very careful what's in there. Just like when you have your own well for drinking water, you have it tested.
Right.
So, I mean, it's the same type test and so forth.
So, in other words, that there will be an agency that will be testing this water to make sure that it is safe like it is everywhere else.
There is, yes, of course. We test our drinking water everywhere now, and our well water.
I just wanted to make sure that I cleared up. Someone made reference to someone can get killed or die from drinking this water. I think water all over the country.
Ms. Norton, the lady's out of time.
Did you know?
Thank you so much, Ms. Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, there are no other questions. Representative Katz, you have a right to close. And she waives her closing. Representative Katz moves the adoption of the Conference Committee report. All those in favor of adopting the report will vote yea. Those opposed vote nay, and the clerk will open the machine. Are you through voting? Are you through voting? Representative Schroeder, yes. Close machine, Mr. Clerk. Nope. Ms. St. Germain, yes. Close machine, Mr. Clerk. 78 yeas and 19 nays, and the Conference Committee report is adopted. Next bill.